everyone. I am so excited to talk about the Batman. And
Yay!
we just got some box office numbers. We'll talk about that later. But first, we actually have a newbie. I'm so excited to have you on. Everybody, make sure you check out his channel. It is You Truck and Nerd. How are you? Do you want us to call you Truck and Nerd or Shannon?
You truck a nerd, YTN, Shannon, whatever you want.
All right, that works. How are you today?
Great, thank you. I was pretty excited to do this, so I'm glad to be
I
here.
know your channel is awesome. Like honestly, I love I love the way you do your videos. You do such like you've put out like just a handful of videos at this point, and your editing's already better than mine. I'm freaking jealous. It's amazing. So make sure you guys check them out. We also have Miss Liana. How are you today?
I am okay. I mean, we're about to talk Batman, so I'm strapping in and I Vaselined my ass because
Oh no!
we're talking about Batman. It's going to be rough. It's going to be first night in Arkham territory, but let's do it because you're not allowed to have an opinion on Batman because I'm the goddamn Batman.
That's right.
I'm here. Yeah, I'm a veteran of these wars. But I'm glad to be with all you lovely people today.
I'm so excited. And Kenneth Dowling, how are you today?
I'm doing wonderful. I'm wonderful, blessed. Thank you for inviting me back to your stream, Nerdette. I always have a wonderful time meeting new people. Hello to the new guests. Drew, what's up, man? How you doing?
Hey, Kenneth. I'm doing well, man. Good to see you again.
Hey. You too, brother. You too. Hey, we finally get to talk about a comic book movie now and spoil it without having to worry about spoilers, right?
Yes, finally.
Yeah. Everybody, spoilers. This is a spoiler chat. Just warning you right now. I seen Black Phoenix, said he hadn't seen it yet. If you don't want any spoilers, there's probably a time to go and then come back later. Dr. Soup, how are you?
I'm doing good. I'm excited to be here. I just saw the movie for the second time, like 4 hours ago, so I'm excited to discuss this. And I thought it was cool that you used a Taylor Swift song because literally, like before I got on here, I saw she was praising the movie, so that's really cool.
That's awesome. I love it. I love that song. Like I don't know. You know what? I like the original too, but that one's so much better. And I saved you for last, Drew, just for the obvious reason that you were like every trailer that came out, you're like, ugh, that looks terrible. Ugh. That looks awful. So first, how are you today? And second, you're going first on what you thought about the Batman.
Oh wow, I'm on deck first.
On deck.
I'm doing well, thanks. How much time? What's that?
You broke up there for a second.
Oh, I said my hair is gone. I got it all cut off, so that mane of hair is gone. I got a haircut.
Well, that's great.
Yeah.
Come on, we want your Batman. We want your Batman dish.
Okay, so how much time do I have?
you just go for it.
All right, so I'm going to go ahead and start off. I'm giving it a 7 out of 10. It was good for me. It was good. I wouldn't say it was great. I wouldn't say it was bad. It was good. The first hour and a half, hour and 45, I thought it was damn near perfect. I loved it. Gotham is finally a character again for the first time since the Burton films. We get the most Batman on screen ever, which is great. And Twilight, he's great as Iron Batman. I'm calling him Iron Batman at this point. It's hard to, when you're running into submachine gun gunfire, you're Iron Batman. His Batman needs some work. I mean, it's Bruce Wayne needs some work. Hopefully they'll develop Bruce Wayne as we go along. Colin Farrell's great. Paul Dano, he's good mostly. Zoe Kravitz I thought was good, but I still think Anne Hathaway did a better job at Catwoman than Zoe Kravitz
You're
did.
kidding. What?
No.
Anne Hathaway was terrible. She was not Catwoman.
No.
Uh-oh, here we go.
So with Zoe, it was pretty much one note throughout the whole movie with Zoe. Whereas with Anne Hathaway, we got a broad range of emotions with Anne Hathaway as Catwoman.
Yeah, like boring. Sorry, go ahead.
No, you go back to that scene. Go back to the scene in Dark Knight Rises when she's in the bar with that senator. and you got the police coming in. She starts flipping out, freaking out. Oh my God, help me! And then she just turns it off and just turns it like a stone cold, like killer or whatever. Just walks right out, like so.
Right.
It's cool, and it's just.
No, I agree.
Zoe just didn't.
Yeah, sorry.
Oh, you're fine, Kenneth. Yeah, just she didn't really. Zoe did a good job, but she just didn't really show me the broad range that Anne Hathaway did. But so the third act kind of fell apart for me, honestly. In my opinion, so I'm a writer now too, but you can't introduce something in the third act that you didn't set up in the first act.
What didn't they set up?
The vans with the explosives on the dock.
They did too!
No, they didn't.
You got to see it a second time. There was so many hints.
You're going to have to tell me where that was at, because I did not see it or hear it, or wasn't even riddled as far as I know.
So, okay, if you're looking at the newspaper scene, or I'm sorry, the murdered mayor scene, there's a big thing in the background about the seawall. And then there's a bunch of scenes, if you look through on the seawall, where the waves are crashing over the top. And then if you go to his social media feed, when the Riddler is talking like on his like TikTok type thing, there's a bunch of people in the sidelines talking about the seawall. I know that's not much of a setup. I'm assuming more of it was done because it was 4 hours originally, they had to cut some stuff out. But that's all I saw. And then obviously the rain would keep the seawall high. But those were the setups I seen for that seawall.
As far as like the vans with the explosives themselves.
Yeah, you're right about that. Yeah,
wait,
absolutely.
what? When did that come into play? And honestly, I would have honestly thought if it turned out that the Riddler was like a patsy for Hush, because Thomas Elliott, he's teased, he's hinted, they dropped the name. It's like if it turned out Hush was the big baddie the whole time, like Riddler was working for him, and that I would have been like, oh my God, that's brilliant. But the third act just really didn't work for me. I thought it was good overall. I don't know if I could see it again in theater.
Oh my. Well, you know what? You did better than what I thought. I thought you were going to absolutely tear it apart more than just the seawall stuff. So I give you credit where it's due. Liana, go for it.
In the third act, when the vans show up and they're talking about the vans and the explosive, like, wait a second. They never talked about this before. This wasn't riddled. What is this?
They hinted at it. You just had to have a really clever, ridiculously clever, really, really ridiculously clever eye. Or watch, a bunch of breakdowns with the Easter eggs in them. Just saying.
Oh, that's not happening.
Liana.
I think I'm going to need more Vaseline for my ass to get through this.
Oh, no.
But Momo's here. He's my Catwoman prop, right, Momo? Yeah. I actually agree with Drew about the third act, but I have different reasons. I thought the first, I'll stop being ridiculous for a minute here and come back at it. This is like my Robert Pattinson like low rent Matches Malone cosplay, right? He just puts a hood up and a hat and he looks like a tweaker and manages to sneak into a high end illegal club, right? But okay, the first 15 minutes, I thought I was gonna hate the whole movie. It was way too 89 Batman. It took too long to get anywhere, but they do introduce the MacGuffin item that does justify the seawall thing, the carpet turner that actually is the unsolved clue that forgives the new twist with the van, that Batman actually didn't solve the big mystery. The Riddler beat him. And I've nicknamed the Riddler Hushler because I agree there was a lot of hush.
Yeah.
A lot of hush in that movie. Right at the back, I'm like, oh, duct tape hush. I'm down with this. And I do think there was definitely some Thomas Elliott with the reporter. I do think there was some scenes cut that probably would have made the last third make sense. Once we got into the actual character study of New Bruce Wayne and New Gotham, I absolutely agree. Gotham's a character again, which made me really happy. I like the new take on Bruce Wayne because it's different. And it's year 3. So we have to give him somewhere to year 2. Well, they said it's
He's at the end of year 2.
Well, they said it's been 2 years, so it's year 3.
The notepad that he was writing on said October 31st, year 2.
Okay,
So
so
it's at
you're
the
two.
very end of his second year.
It's long Halloween territory. We'll say that. But so once it got in, and I agree that I was super captivated until Batman took a bomb to the face, point
Yes.
blank, and not even a scratch, not a bloody nose, no concussion. And I'm like, all right, they're just being oddly ridiculous for a movie of this tone. I like the fact that he was creepy and socially awkward, and I was prepared to defend him watching Selena change. Even though at that point it seems she's interested in girls. But then the characterization started getting mushy. And I was like, what's going on here? I have my interpretation of Catwoman. I was okay. And then the final scene where the mayor-elect walks off a high-powered rifle shot to the shoulder and then wades through seawater with a bullet wound, and a shotgun blast knocks him down, and that's it. He needs to like adrenaline himself, and then he almost kills a dude. And then there's another 20 minutes of movie that made me feel like I was in Cyberpunk Lord of the Rings. Everything else was awesome, but I agree that final third, I don't know if it's the DCEU shitifier or the holdover from the Batfleck film. I don't know what that ending was, that extended metaphor of them going down separate paths. I did not need. I wish the movie had ended with the Hope line, because then it would have started with a cheesy Frank Miller VO and ended with a bookended VO that I'm like, all right, stylistically fine. They're going from the 40s into like the post Rebirth Batman era. It's something of a legacy film. There was a collapsing of time. So like there was a bit of 40s, a lot of 70s, a lot of 90s, which as a comic book reader is sort of my emotional favorite Batman, like Long Halloween through No Man's Land. But then they started tagging actual dates on it, and I lost that sense of timelessness. And a rat infested, no heated orphanage in 2001, I just couldn't buy. And it was little moments like that that stopped it being a truly great movie for me. It was good. I enjoyed it. I'm kind of sitting at, I loved like 83% of it, but that extra like 17% just again feels like the DC shitifier. DC cannot help but fuck things up. And if they just, first of all, not made a 4-hour movie, make a 3-hour movie and cut it down to 2:30, but also just, if you're gonna do a psychodrama character study detective fiction, you don't have to be realistic, but you do have to be consistent in your world building. And I thought that was the biggest flaw. I thought the characterizations were the strength. Andy Serkis is an awesome reimagining of Alfred.
Yes.
Just awesome. And I liked Zoe Kravitz. I think we're going to spend a lot of time talking about Zoe Kravitz. So I will hold my powder on the Zoe Kravitz Catwoman, because yeah, I really had to work to interpret her, and I'm not sure I'm right based on the ending.
Let me get this super chat real quick. Comics and Finance, thank you so much. I just seen you had a video up. I was starting to watch it, and then I got busy doing other things. I'm going to go back to it. I'm really bad about like watching half of people. Anyways, okay, sorry. Batman was nowhere near as capable after he got blown up. The explosion made him more human by making him more vulnerable. And I agree. My issue with the blow up was that he didn't have any damage to his face. He clearly was incapacitated. He was taken to the GCPD, but there should have been some sort of damage to where his cowl is not. I think that's the only issue I have with that scene.
He's Iron Batman. He's Iron Batman.
Yeah. That was the point. I'm like, all right, this is going to be stupid. And then he outran the entire police department and took out a bunch of dudes on
Batman.
He's the Olympic level athlete. So,
but no more vulnerable. How does walking off a bomb blast to the face make somebody more vulnerable? This is sort of, I think, sort of a perspective dichotomy that's going on here. I've had a lot of guys batsplain this movie to me in the last 24 hours.
I love it.
And I'm like, fuck you. I've been reading Batman longer than you have been alive. But yeah, you're not gonna convince me on the vulnerability metaphor.
And he was able to cover his face because Batman.
Yeah, he was able to cover his face by doing the full Frank Miller scowl, right? Like the Jim Lee scowl, and all the extra Jim Lee lines protected his face from the blast. Yeah,
that's
just
right.
So many Jim Lee lines, and the curled cowl of the Jim Lee art protected him from that bomb blast to the face. Kenneth, I'm so glad you're laughing. We are kindred spirits. I mean, Batman couldn't walk that off, man. He doesn't have the curly Q cape.
He could totally. My issue was just the damage. There should have been some damage to the face because he was clearly incapacitated so much that they had to take him from that location to the GCPD. But he should have had some sort of damage. Like all they would have to do is what's that?
I was going to say, let alone his chest plate from all the shrapnel coming from the explosion. That should have hit his chest. There should be multiple shards on his chest from it.
Those cyberpunk contact lenses would have fused his eyes.
What's that?
From that blast. Those contact lenses that were super cool cyberpunk tech, but they would have fused to his eyes. from a bomb blast.
That his eyes were closed because Batman.
Right, but I don't know if you've ever fallen asleep in contact lenses. It is not pretty.
Oh, it's terrible.
Those would be hard lenses. And first of all, he'd have a concussion. His ears would be bleeding. You can't see his ears, so fine. His nose would be bleeding. Even if you're protected from a blast, there is still the boom. There is still the concussive force. Honestly. That if he hadn't been knocked back by a shotgun at the end, I would have been all right. Comic book rules. I'm fine with it, but he's so damaged by the end after he's done all these other things that I don't know what I'm supposed to believe. I'm not saying it's an inherent mistake. I just don't know what I'm supposed to believe.
Get that. I totally get that. But we need some positivity. Dr. Soup, can you deliver?
No. Yeah. Sorry, I don't know where to start. So I'll start off with my rating. So I feel like I'll give it like an 8.7 out of 10. So I agree with most of the stuff that other people have said so far. But so my first viewing, like I had mixed feelings. I was like, okay, like 30 minutes in, I'm like, am I gonna like this or am I gonna think it's all right? But I really enjoyed it overall. Bruce Wayne, I didn't really have a problem with him only because I feel like he's gonna be developed more, like throughout the next two films. Right. So I'm like, whatever. Like I didn't even really give that much thought, because I feel like it's gonna go somewhere. But I think the second movie can definitely fix a lot of the issues. Right. Where was I going with that? I'm definitely with Juliana on the like last 17%. Is that what you said?
Yeah, that it just why? I wanted to love you. Why? Why do you have to fart at the table and chew loudly? You're otherwise a beautiful, beautiful thing. I want to love you. Yeah.
Right, because I felt like it could have ended like 30 minutes earlier. I feel like they could have cut out like so much useless stuff. Or I wouldn't say like a ton, but the Alfred Hospital scene, I felt like that dragged on.
No, it was so sweet. What is wrong with you?
They should have ended on the Hope thing. When they're hella lifting that kid and he's like, I need to give people hope. Crash to black, done, credits. Right. Run the stupid motorcycles while the credits are rolling, please.
Yeah, there you go.
Let me say, when I first saw the Hope thing, I'm like, wait a minute, that's Superman's thing. What are you doing?
Yeah, but Batman still inspires.
Her mother's name was Martha, Kenneth. It's all the same now. It's Snyderverse rules. Her mother's name was Martha.
Love it.
Wait. Hold on. I got an issue with this because Batman scares as well as inspires. Whereas Superman. Oh, okay. I'm like, damn it. I wasn't fight you want. No, I'm just kidding. No, I totally get it. Let me get this super chat real quick. I'm so sorry, Robert. I did not mean to miss it. I promise. Anne felt nothing like Selena. Zoe did. Zoe over Anne. Yeah, we're gonna talk about that. I promise you. And I totally agree. I am in love with Selena Kyle. I'm just gonna put that out there right
we're
now.
all
But we'll get there.
Catwoman into its own conversation.
Yes.
We all have strong feelings. Yeah.
Shannon, what did you think?
I thought it was an amazing movie. I loved the fight scenes. I felt like I was brought right back to the Daredevil hallway fights on the Netflix show. Every time Batman was on screen, it was just so captivating, and we got a lot of that. Like I just could not look away whenever he was on screen. The cinematic like beauty of some shots, I just wanted to like take a picture. There were some really, really good shots there. And if you want to count Justice League, I guess you could say there's been 9 Batman movies up to this point. And this is the world's greatest detective, and we finally get a detective story.
Finally.
Like, I can't believe it's taking this long.
You know what's great about it is not only do we get a detective story, but because he's new to this, he fucks up as a detective. He didn't solve the riddle, and he didn't solve it. And that only improves him for future going through and being the world's greatest detective because he knows what he did wrong now. I love the detective side of Batman and the mobster side. So this was like a love letter to me.
Yeah, and I mean, I grew up with the Batman, the animated series. Riddler isn't my favorite villain, but every episode that featured the Riddler was always my favorite. Just watching, Batman solve the riddles and process everything and, realizing how smart the Riddler, really is. So it was cool to see that. I think Paul Dano killed it. When I saw who they were casting, I was like, what? Like, who is this? I don't even know who this is. But I know who he is now for sure. He definitely did an awesome job. I think most of the cast was great.
He did absolutely. We lost Soup for a second. Let me get the super chat real quick. Sorry, Kenneth. There are 3 aspects to Batman: per Cook's ego. I love ego. We reviewed that for this movie coming up, me and Joe Corella. And it is one of those takes that are so introspective that it really shows that they used certain aspects to that a lot in this. They used, the dark side of him. And then that scene which I love, I know you guys have a problem with the bomb scene, but there was a great line delivery from the DA when he says, how much? How much? And he goes, who? Batman asks who? And he goes, they didn't ask that. I love that. And it's so Gotham. And then him not being willing to blow up, or him not willing to give the name up because of his family, that's straight out of ego. Straight out of ego. And I thought that was so good. I don't know who that actor was. I think it was I don't know.
He's one of the
Skarsgård.
Yeah.
And he was so great. He did a great job in the small role that he had.
Mm-hmm. So I really only had two complaints. What really got me was the first fight scene with the clown guys. They had no clue who Batman was. Meanwhile, he was just talking about how, you see the light, that's a warning. Everybody thinks I'm there. I'm the shadows. So that was a little weird, and it made me question, when is this taking place? Like, so I think we've all said it's the second year of his career, but like I thought that was weird. And then besides that, there's that scene where Pattinson pushes the table. He's in his dining room, living room, whatever. He pushes the table aside to put everything on the ground. He's got his shirt off, and he just looks so scrawny. And I turned to my friend and I said, "Can you see this guy fighting Bane? Like, can you see this guy really?" I don't know. That's the only problem I considered from the very beginning when I found out that Pattinson was going to be Batman. Is he going to bulk up? What's going on?
He's even smaller now. I looked at the pictures from the premiere, and it like his clothes were wearing him.
You can't keep that jawline though. Well, that's the only thing.
Right.
Yes, he's got a great jawline for that.
Someone doesn't have to be super muscular to do Krav Maga or judo, though. And the fight style was not a high flying. They didn't do the Eastern combat style. It was in close, get the element of surprise, give the donkey punch and call it a day, hit the pub. So I was okay with that. I actually, based on the way he was living and the fact that he was, running out of money and kind of desperate and nuts. I was okay with the scapulas that could cut glass, because he's not Batman yet, right? And
Not completely, yeah.
yeah, and I also thought that was I'm okay with muscle suits on superheroes. I'd rather, like, I'm a Keaton Batman fan, and that was a complaint about him, that he wasn't like, can we please not get to the point where actors have to be as dumb as actresses when it comes to physicality? I'm fine with digital muscle for let's get the best person for the part, as opposed to obsessing about somebody's delts. Like, we have John Cena for that. Dude's a beast. I'll watch Peacemaker over and over and over again. I want to be more forgiving because I do want the best performance, not the best looking person. Now, we all know from my previous appearances on this stream, I have a weird idea of what's attractive. So maybe that's skewing my opinion right now. Like, yeah, when we were talking about Anne Hathaway's more Selena Kyle than Zoe Kravitz, so like, are we talking the silhouette? Are we talking the performance? Like, what are we talking here? Because Anne Hathaway did fill that suit out nicely, but
so did Selena. Oh my goodness. Okay, wait for the Selena talk, because there's one thing you guys didn't bring up, but I want to specifically, but I want to get to this first. Robert, thank you so much. John Tarantino was the big surprise of the movie. His Falcone was beyond creepy, and he was the real big bad, but you didn't know until the reveal. I actually thought he was, I don't know if creepy is the word, but menacing.
Yeah.
Feels like he wasn't a big dude. You wouldn't be scared, seeing the size of him, but he would still be very menacing. I guess that's the best word. Like, you would be nervous if he walked into the room, just because he gives off that aura. And I thought he did a great job. I liked him as Falcone. I wish they would have brought in Maroni. They talked about Maroni a lot, but why not just do, like, and I get it was already a 3-hour movie, but do a flashback. Yeah. Like, not everybody knows who Maroni is unless you read the comics, so you're dropping names like people know. And I think that was a little bit of an issue.
Do we need to know who a competing crime boss is, though? I mean, we're all Batman fans, so like, for a regular person, I liked all the shorthands. I liked all the little visual callbacks to Arkham Asylum, because they only have so much time, right? And the way they gave everybody kind of a character moment, I will defend that Alfred scene in the hospital on that point, but they gave everybody a character moment. They had to do certain shorthands to do that. And I mean, there is so much Arkham game in that movie. It's not officially a source, but the glide suit, the running down the building, the way Catwoman kind of does this, the ridiculous ass nails, that
the amazing nails
would pop off and make her bleed, but I didn't care. Right? That was a moment I didn't care. Yeah. I didn't like the cowl that we're circling around. Should we have the Catwoman discussion?
Wait. I want to mention one thing. Okay. Actually, two things that you guys didn't mention that were weak, because the rest, I'm not going to lie, this is a 9.5 for me. I love this movie. I thought it was really great. I thought, actually, I want to mention 3 things. The Riddler, you guys said, felt like Hush, but I think that only in look, because the duct tape. I felt like it was more Joker because of him wanting to work, thinking he's actually working with Batman, getting so upset. He was obsessed to the point of that weird dichotomy where they love each other. That love-hate line. That's the
Arkham Joker. Sorry, the Arkham Riddler.
Yeah, that's true. It's true.
It's the Arkham Games Riddler. Also, I thought that the reporter, that they said that was a very Hush thing. Everything going back to Thomas Wayne, very, very, very Hush.
What they mentioned his name, Thomas Elliott. That was Hush.
He was
Edward Elliott.
Edward Elliott,
yeah.
And we don't actually know who the Riddler is. He could still be Elliott Jr. We don't know. He had a million identities. He's an orphan. He doesn't know where he came from, right?
Wouldn't that be a good setup for 2?
Yeah, I don't want Joker in 2. I was kind of pissed at that.
That's the scene I want to talk about.
Yeah,
putting that where he was talking to the Joker was weak fucking
Unnecessary.
sauce.
Unnecessary. Should not have been in the movie.
Should not have been in the movie. He didn't sound his Joker was like my annoying fucking laugh. No. Why did you put that in the movie? That was so silly. It wasn't even a post credit. It felt very forced.
Yeah, I in my mind he's the creeper. He's not the Joker because I can't. The only way that would have worked is if it was Joaquin Phoenix.
Yes.
Like that.
But
okay,
the age difference. Yeah.
But but also
Barry Keoghan, I think, right?
Yeah,
Barry Keoghan.
Don't lock yourself into the next villain, guys. Like they're not. Joker might be in Arkham, whatever. Can we please let the Joker rest for a bit and give other Batman has one of the best rogues galleries in comics. Give somebody else a turn.
And apparently Matt Reeves said there was like a 4-hour cut, and apparently there was another scene with the Joker where Batman went to go talk to him.
Release the Reeves cut. I started it.
That's right. You heard it here first. You know why they have all that in there, right? Like, Penguin was phenomenal. You couldn't even tell who he was, but he also was a little bit unnecessary. They had it in there because they're setting up the Penguin show. Catwoman leaving, they're setting up the Catwoman show. That scene in Arkham, they're setting up the Arkham show. They're making this its whole world. And I love that idea, but some of the stuff felt forced for that specific reason.
And the GCPD show too.
Right.
GCPD show, yeah. Yep, you're right. So there's 4 spinoffs, and I love the idea of venturing into this world more. I think that's great. But some of the scenes felt unnecessary. Yeah. It really, really did. And then the other part that you guys actually didn't mention that I was like, what? Thomas is not that dumb. Like, obviously they made Thomas not to be the greatest guy in this one. But he is not stupid enough to go up to Falcone and be like, just scare him for me, buddy. Just make him a little nervous, please. No, he knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
Did you guys catch that like subtle hint they did with Thomas when Bruce is talking to Falcone and he says, "Why do you think he saved me on that table that night?" And he says, "Because of his Hippocratic oath."
Yeah.
And Falcone says something like, "Oh, Hippocratic, that's funny." Like, because he's a hypocrite. Like, and you have no clue. That was a moment for me in the movie towards the end.
That was the moment when they released that scene before the movie came out. I'm like, yep, we're going evil parents. We're going evil parents.
That was another moment where I felt like they hadn't stuck a pin in the Thomas Wayne speech being in 2001, and it was just sort of a world out of time. So we could be, it's like back in the 80s where your family would be ruined because mom's mentally ill. That just doesn't work as a motivation anymore. And if it was out of time and like a throwback moment, okay, it was a different time. I can accept it as a legacy piece, but you're right. I felt like the motivation for Thomas Wayne was flimsy.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the fact that Martha, and I love exploring the mental health aspect. They did that in Earth 1, and I thought it was really good. Whereas in that one, the grandfather came back and actually was Clayface and used a lot of manipulation with Bruce. This one, it felt like, how did nobody know, for one? How did nobody know? And then, how did Thomas meet her? Like, this lady's kind of crazy. And then you'll have, like, you just don't turn off mental health issues at 18. You're just not like, I'm cured, I'm good. She would be going to psychiatrists. She would be going to doctors. People, like, not that people would know because, doctor-patient confidentiality, but it just doesn't stop. It just doesn't go away when you get married. Like, that's a lifelong thing. I felt like there was a little bit of plot holes in that whole situation.
Yeah, again, if it was a throwback thing, I would have, like, if it had been done on Doom Patrol, I think we all would have bought it because the timeline there extends, like, back to 1912. It was the fact that they actually rooted it, and this movie is happening in 2022.
Did they root it in the 2022?
Yeah, the video, the scene with all the orphans lined up and they sing, and then Thomas Wayne makes the speech. It says 2001.
I missed
video,
that.
and that I was like, oh, I wish they hadn't have done that because I could have
Yep.
stand for you movie because there's cars from the 80s and there's the old 67 Corvette Stingray and they were doing the out of time thing. There was that Art Deco thing. The mansion is clearly older, like super, super gaudy pre-Art Nouveau.
Terrible.
And then the Wayne Manor was okay. Am I not the only one who thought Wayne Manor? I got they were trying to make it look like Bats, but it was overdone.
It was terrible. Like nobody would walk into that home and be like, "Oh, this is my beautiful home." They would be like, "Geez, oh Pete, what are we doing here? We need a new decorator."
Well, I think it's also showing that he's paying attention less to being Bruce Wayne in the community. You know what I mean?
He's wearing sunglasses.
Batman.
I am like the one person on the planet who likes the new Bruce Wayne. I love that scene where he gets out at the memorial and he is clearly like shrinking at the eyes on him. I find that much more believable for the background of this character than, hello, I am a ladies' man. I am Bruce Wayne, billionaire playboy. I mean, we can't do billionaire playboy post Me Too for one.
You know, Matt Reeves came out and said they're taking that aspect away from Bruce Wayne and he's going to be more of a rock star recluse.
Right, because he has to hope, right? But I liked the starting point because it allowed me that suspension of disbelief that other things didn't give me. Like, okay, he's not faking it well at this point. Yep. He seems like an obsessive. He seems like somebody who would run around in the dark as a leather boy furry. I'm buying this more than, because if they have to sell the entire world because they're stacked up both against the Snyderverse and the Nolanverse, I need that essential point of difference to demarcate it in my brain. Right?
Yep.
So
I think we need to talk about Selena Kyle though.
Yay!
I think
sorry.
Warning, I love her. Go ahead.
Yeah, you haven't asked me my opinion on the movie yet. So.
Oh my God, I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
I'm such a bad host. Kenneth will never be here again, and we all know why. I'm so fucking sorry, Kenneth. We got into talking, and oh my gosh, Kenneth, please give us the news.
All right. Starting from the first hour or so, I really like the director's choices and what he took because. Yeah, he added elements for the comic book, but you also saw the film influences. I immediately got stuff from Taxi Driver from the 70s. Now, this is before my time, but they talk about New York, especially Times Square in the 70s, how it was a cesspool. It was dank. It was dirty. It was very dangerous. Like, it ain't the Times Square of today where you can take pictures of Mickey Mouse or something. It was extremely dangerous. Yeah. And that's what I saw right here. And I love that Bruce Wayne isn't fully formed yet because this is his second year. In fact, not only Bruce Wayne or Batman isn't completely formed yet because he said he's vengeance, but later on in the movie, he says he has to be more than that. So he's forming as a person. So you're not going to see the billionaire playboy just yet. Like you guys say, the city of Gotham is a character, and it's a different. I mean, we have different iterations now with the Nolan verse, with Tim Burton's Batman. Now we have a different. It's almost a merging of the Nolan and the Tim Burton verse, but it's its own thing, which I like. I like Zoe Kravitz as Selena. Now, Drew, you were talking about Anne Hathaway and Zoe Kravitz. Anne Hathaway, at least to the modern day comics, I like Anne Hathaway as Selena because Selena is professional thief robbing people in The Dark Knight Rises. The Selena in this movie is a little more akin to Frank Miller's Selena when you first see her. Now, I'm not saying she's necessarily a prostitute, but she's working that scene. She's living with her girlfriend in her apartment. She does have a lot of money, but she's in the nightlife doing her thing. And let's see. I love Paul Dano's Riddler. Like, Riddler, he's never been like one of my favorite villains. I don't like the Riddler. This Riddler in this movie, I love. I see the Zodiac serial killer like character in Riddler, which I loved. I love that choice. And now you guys are saying the Paul Dano character, he may not be Edward Nip, but it's like a setup.
The what?
Were you guys
Or
saying
Hush.
that the Paul Dino, this Riddler may not be the actual Riddler? Like he might be Hush or something, or
There's a bunch of theories about that because the other guy in the cell in Arkham says, "Riddle me this."
right? Well, let me start off the bat. That's my least favorite scene in this movie. If they're hinting,
Okay, we all agree on that.
It
Yeah.
was so bad.
No more. I agree with you. Is it Luana? How do you say your name? I'm sorry.
Leanna.
Liana.
Red
yeah.
is fine. Red is
Thank
fine.
you. Now, Liana. No more Joker. No more Joker. Like there needs to be like a ban. I don't want no Joker for at least 10 years. No more Joker.
I wouldn't mind Joker too, but like keep Joker out of the Batman
No,
and the Justice League
I
stuff.
don't want Joker at all. Like it's too much on Joker.
I want Harvey Dent, and I wouldn't
Yes,
mind
I want Harvey
Creeper. Harvey Dent would be perfect in this world. Creeper, and I mean, there's a bunch of other ways you can go.
I want
for-
Poison Ivy.
I want Hugo Strange.
Ooh,
in the next
that's a
movie.
great choice.
Let me ask you guys
Which
a
been my
question.
favorite villain. Yeah.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Drew.
No, go ahead, Kenneth. You barely talk, so we need to let Kenneth.
So, is this movie implying that we've already had Harvey Dent? If we haven't Falcone, is Harvey Dent coming?
I think he's. I didn't see any hints that we had already had him.
Because they mentioned that there was a big crime bust in the past, like a case happened with the Maronis, and that was around the time that we had the Long Halloween or something. So, are they implying that?
Because that DA was the guy that got bombed to the face, blown up.
Right.
He was the DA in the case. So Harvey Dent could come in. I mean,
I
I
hope so.
wonder where you go with Harvey Dent now, because like Gordon is now the Billy D. Williams of this. Jeffrey Wright was amazing.
Yeah.
Do we just get Billy D back? Like, I'm good with more Billy D. But how do we go with Harvey Dent with this? Did you guys notice that the first shot of Jeffrey Wright, they lit him? So they did the Gordon eyebrows from Batman the Animated Series.
Huh?
Did you notice that lighting
didn't.
effect?
No.
If you rewatch that, watch the lighting effect on his reveal shot. It was pretty cool what they did with him as an intro. I love Jeffrey Wright. I'm
so good.
not impartial, but I thought even with all the whispering, I get why they did it. It kind of drove me crazy, but he was a good Gordon in that world. He just did seem like the only honest man in Sodom and Gomorrah.
I love his line where he says no guns and he goes, "No, that's your thing."
I like that too.
Like he puts
love
Batman in his place, but he also trusts him. I thought that was great. Let me get the super chat. Robert, thank you so much. Sadly, Joker brings in the big bucks. Look at the box office. Just keep it in its own world. That's all I'm saying.
Batman has plenty of other, like you said,
Amazing.
Leanna, he has one of the greatest rogues gallery in all of comics, next to Spider-Man. And I want
before Spider-Man,
Hugo
just saying.
Strange. That's what. Look, I want Hugo Strange. Hugo Strange was Batman's first major villain before Joker, and he predates all his other villains. He's his first major villain. He's the first villain that figured out who Bruce Wayne in Batman was. He's the first one that tortured him. He became obsessed with Batman, that he wanted to become Batman. That predates all Batman's major villains. Give me Hugo Strange, please.
Yep. My favorite Batman story of all time is Batman Prey. Batman Prey, I think, is one of the best, and that's centered around Hugo Strange. I think you can easily adapt that. That is one that you can easily do in the sequel.
I was going to say, I think they should take another stab at Scarecrow. In this universe, he would be scary. Man.
With the fear theme?
Yeah, absolutely.
That would be great, but Poison Ivy needs some love. Like, we need some
how,
She's on Catwoman. She's got plenty of love on there.
How do you do, literally, how do you do Poison Ivy in this world, though? They don't have that element of the fantastic that makes her work.
They did tease Robinson Park, though.
Matt Reeves said in an interview that he is avoiding all the fantastical elements.
Yeah.
That's probably in regards to Superman, but he's not trying to do any, like, fantastical stuff. He's, like, sticking strictly street level with this Batman.
And I get that. It's more believable. I know he said he also wanted to take a stab at Mr. Freeze, which would be amazing. I love Mr. Freeze's story.
I guess cryogenic technology is enough. You could kind of squeak that through, but how do you make Mr. Freeze work?
Without being fantastic,
Right, without being fantastic.
Exactly.
Because it's a detective story.
Oh, you guys asked too hard of questions. I'm like, Mr.
Sorry.
Freeze, I love him.
I mean,
No,
Clayface the
I
same
get-
way. I love Clayface, but how do you do that?
That would be so. What about somebody like Zaz? You could do Zaz.
You could do
Zaz
Zaz.
would work.
You could do
Zaz
Zaz.
would work.
Yeah.
And that would be perfect for learning that and honing that detective skill. That would be amazing. I would like to see Zaz, and he's not so well known that people, that they couldn't take some creative liberties, because they definitely took a lot of creative liberties in this. Like, there's a lot of really comic book accurate stuff in this, but they also changed enough to make it work in this world. And I'm like a little harder on not sticking to comics, right?
Mhm.
Usually I'm like, oh, they changed this. It was terrible. No, it worked with the, bad parents. Yeah, it worked. It worked for the story. And I think that makes it a lot more acceptable in my opinion.
Zaz could be a good foil for processing pain too, as a second chapter of this Bruce Wayne.
Ooh.
Zaz has to be accompanied for someone, because I don't know if he can be a solo villain. I don't know if he's a very interesting villain.
Zaz is Hugo Strange's sidekick in my head. Like, he's
Right.
the second villain. Like, he's the red herring, and Hugo Strange is the brain behind it all. Like, totally.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. That would be great. Let me get this super chat, guys. Robert, thank you so much. Earth One's Clayface showed it could work. Yeah, but Earth One's great. I love the way they did that fake out with his grandpa. But again, you're going into those fantastical elements, and I don't know that would work. Black Mask, that would work too. Yeah.
Black Mask, yep, he could be the new with Falcone dying, and as Batman becomes more powerful and crime goes away, a new sort of crime boss can emerge, and that's what Black Mask can be.
Yeah. Yeah. I thought Calendar Man too, but didn't say it. Super chat.
It's not showing. Is it showing up on your guys' screen?
Yeah, it's showing. This one didn't, but the previous ones have.
Well, that's so weird. Deacon Blackfire. Me and Bianca were just talking about that. It's not showing up everywhere, community. I'm so sorry. I don't know why it's doing that. But Batmite and Calendar Man, yes. Totally not fantastic.
No, Batmite is now Snyderverse canon through Peacemaker.
Yeah, that's
I'm very happy about that.
Is Batmite his Mrs. Picklet?
He referenced Batmite in a dialogue piece, so now Batmite is canon. Oh, we lost Tristan.
Oh,
Oh, Tristan's back now. Okay.
See, I don't know Batmite.
You mentioned Mr. Mix's Pitlick and Tristan disappeared. I'm sus.
There we go.
What? Say her name backwards, Kenneth. See what happens.
I don't know what happened. Can you guys hear me okay?
Netsrit.
Yeah, Netsrit.
We're nerds.
Nerdy nerds.
Oh my gosh, that's so funny. Okay.
I'm a Marvel guy, so I'm just putting it out there.
So when are we going to talk about
that's what I was just gonna
Selena
say.
Bertinelli? Yeah, I went there. Catress. Catwoman in the movie is half Huntress, half Catwoman. Let's just crack the seal on that one.
I think that's Frank Miller's Catwoman.
I have erased Frank Miller's Catwoman from my head. The suit is Darwin Cook, except for the mask. The suit, early Darwin Cook, she does have the mask. The suit is Darwin Cook, straight up. But the whole thing about
Frank Miller.
Yeah, the whole thing about her being the daughter of a crime boss is Huntress 2, not Catwoman.
In Dark Victory, Selena said that's why she was obsessed with him. She admits that in Dark Victory, right?
Does she? I mean, that's not the canon origin for Selena. That's not the most common origin for Selena Kyle. That is Helena Bertinelli. She's the Bertinelli crime family.
But
what did I miss?
Oh, I was just saying that.
Do I sound okay now?
Yeah, Catwoman in the movie is basically a hybrid of Selena Kyle and Helena Bertinelli.
How?
Huntress 2, because that anger and the desire to kill and her being the daughter of a crime boss, that is all much more Helena Bertinelli than Selena Kyle.
But they did that in the comics too, with her being Falcone's daughter.
Kenneth was saying that, but it's not her being his daughter, it's the rage.
Yes, I get that. I can see
Helena.
that. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah,
Okay.
that was
Yeah.
her defining thing
Right.
in that 90s era, where she had the coolest suit she's ever friggin' had with the
Yeah.
purple. The anger and the willingness to kill was what made her
Right.
unique in the Batman family. And that is in this Selina Kyle. Now, I don't mind that, because that Huntress is gone. We're back to Helena Wayne, right? So that's cool. Use it. It's just this is not. And that when people were going Zoe Kravitz, Anne Hathaway, they're completely different Catwomans in completely different worlds. And I didn't even go there because they're so very different, you know? And
Yeah.
I think with Zoe Kravitz, I'll rip the Band-Aid off here. First half of the movie, I thought it was brilliant, making Batman a creeper who was watching her change while she's
That was
talking
so
to
weird.
her girlfriend.
Yeah.
I really liked that. Like, he couldn't stop, even though he's hearing her call another woman baby. Like, dude, you don't have to watch it change. Come on. I was hoping, and then they showed how she turns it on and off, how she plays with men. I thought that was an interesting Batman Catwoman dynamic, so you can do all the ridiculous making out in the sewer Jim Lee panels from Hush, but have it her manipulating him. And they didn't go there enough for me to defend Batman watching her change. It's like they almost had something, and I'm sure somebody at DC went, no, too much. The fans are going to freak out. But I actually liked creepy voyeur Batman.
And I agree with you. I like it too. I
Yeah.
don't think it's just for him being a creep. It's because he's lost connection with people, his interaction, because he's all focused on his mission, that he needs to learn that he has to learn some sort of empathy. Like when they were having their intimate scenes, some people noted how Robert Pattinson as Batman didn't connect with the actress, but it wasn't that he wasn't connected that was an acting choice that they had, because she's flirting with him, but he's listening, but not immediately returning her advances.
Yeah.
Interesting, because I thought he was going, a girl is touching me. That's how I interpret. I thought
but in a way that's accurate. No, in a way that's accurate.
Yeah.
Right.
Like,
you know what?
Just like, don't know what to do. She pretty, you know, and I was good with that. Because let's face it, everybody in the theater was going, she is so hot. So he was just like audience proxy right there, you know, because, yeah, she's walking around the movie in like dominatrix gear and different wigs through most of it. So I thought that was an all right choice. They just didn't see it through. And I get why, but I would have given them such mad respect had they actually made Bruce Wayne awkward with women.
Oh, yeah.
And that's a good point, because I mean,
go ahead, Drew. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, just gonna say, but this Bruce Wayne, we don't even know if this Bruce Wayne has even left Gotham to train. Did he just learn at a local Y, like karate nights on Friday night to kick butt? We don't know this.
Alfred trained him.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah,
he never left.
Yeah, because you mentioned that in the deathbed scene, he said, Alfred says, I taught you how to fight, but I couldn't teach you how to love like a family.
Right.
Yeah. So that's in Earth 1, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I think in Earth
Alfred
1,
in Earth 1 is what they were going for, with even down to the cane, right? Like that's absolutely what they were going for. But with Selina, it felt the weird part. I love her. I love her nails, that they were skin color. I loved everything about her. I'll say that first. But it felt very weird to me that she was like over her girlfriend like that.
Yeah.
Like
she
died.
Was
her
over
girl.
Her?
Yeah. Well, she was flirting with another man. That seems kind of over. And like she was obviously still upset, but it felt like the side of her was more of manipulation towards him, because she wasn't. Go ahead.
Selina Kyle reminds me. This is another weird element of Liana's life. I apologize, gents, who have not experienced Liana before.
Right,
Selina Kyle is every adult film star, porn star I ever knew who did straight porn but had a girlfriend in real life. It completely separate, that she bangs men for work, but she's actually got a girlfriend, and it is totally separate in her head. That worked for me. Because she's not herself. You know, it was those moments in the club where she knew you make eye contact with this guy. That was a scene I thought was good because it showed his lack of social skills and her skill with people, right? It's like, make eye contact. I need to identify them. It's like, if I make eye contact, it's going to be this whole thing. And she goes from like to, because she had to, not because she wanted to. The guy was a creeper. He was swallowing his own tongue too, but she freaking played it. It was, pull out the 5, put it in her G-string right now. I thought she nailed that aspect.
Right.
But
and like you said, Leah, I love that point you're making, how she's in the porn industry, she's desensitized to sex with men.
Yeah.
That she can like turn it on with men. It means nothing to her. But her intimate relationships with another woman, now whether it's, I'm not going to get into the whole gender fluid and all of that stuff, forget that. But yeah, it shows that both those characters are off in a sense, and that's something that maybe subconsciously draws them together. So
yeah, I thought it was very much like Holly from the relationship between Selena and Holly
that's
from
what
the Batman
she
books
reminded
back
me
in the
of.
day.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it was that relationship that they never
Yes.
quite confirmed they were more than friends, but they heavily hinted at it.
I thought that exact same thing.
Yeah.
And I know you guys were talking earlier about the other actress that plays Catwoman, who is more like the slinking cat in the night that gets the jewels and stuff like that. But I felt like this version of her had more depth as a character, simply because we saw all different sides of her. We saw her manipulative. We saw her at work. We saw her, turn to the DA and just be this like actress, with the wigs and everything.
We see that with Anne Hathaway too. We see that she manipulates congressmen, police officers, Bruce. She straight up turned over Bruce to Bane. We didn't see that coming, but yeah, I would say they both play mental games with men.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know. Maybe it's the look. I always was such a Darwin Cook fan. This reminds me of like walking off the page of a Darwin Cook, and then her shape and those lights, those like golden shots, right against the light, just remind me so much of those panels. And it's that level of detail to me is what this movie put in. Like at the very beginning, the monologuing. I love the monologuing because for some stupid reasons we don't have thought bubbles. I know. I miss thought bubbles. I can't help it. We have monologues. I loved the monologue. I loved the idea that this guy was so scared. He dropped a paint can and he was like, fuck that paint. I'll get more. I love that idea. And I think that attention to detail was what I really like. Even down in Times Square, there's a panel that says that, drop heads are on the rise. Like that level of detail in this movie was what gave it such a high score for me, even though some things were off. And I feel like they could have definitely not used it as kind of a jumping pad for so many other series. But when you put that much work into something like this and you're that meticulous with what you use, I gotta give credit where it's due. And Selena, to me, my heart, I love her.
I think that's why the flaws were so galling, because like I said, 83% of the movie was right. Like something happened. I think maybe it was the edit. There were a couple times I really got this. Did anybody else get the sense sometimes like, okay, a scene got cut here because like somebody's
actually,
yeah.
I guarantee there were a lot of studio notes. There had to have been a lot of studio notes pressure from producers saying like, no, put this in. See
that thing Truckin, that you mentioned, I think it was you, that the villains didn't know who Batman was right after. I think that voiceover at the beginning was probably tacked on with the bat signal and all that stuff because some idiot executive went, I don't understand what's going on here. So they couldn't go back and change the footage, but the studio insisted on this because there was a preamble, like the movie started right with the hit. And then we back up to the Frank Miller, like in my head, both Little Nancy Callahan, She Grew Up, She Filled Out, and War Never Changes was playing in my head during that opening, right? That felt like the studio saying, I don't get it. You need to spell it out for me. And there was a continuity error accordingly. I caught that too.
Even with the footage, though, I mean, there's already a bat signal, right? I mean, he's explaining.
He's in year 2.
Right. But I just feel like at this point, I mean, they're talking about the vigilante on the news, and he's always at the, the police district. So like, it just feels like he's got this huge presence, and then these clowns have no clue who he is.
He's not at the police district. Do you notice the bat signal was in that abandoned thing?
Yeah,
and it was
building
and banged out of an original signal. It was like moved, like it was something Gordon and him made together and put it in an abandoned warehouse.
I agree. Because in the comics, we're used to the bat signal being right on top of the police department. Gordon isn't there yet. Gordon is not even commissioner yet. He's still like lieutenant or whatever. So it's still in the second year. It's still very basics at this point. And even, I see what you're saying, Tucker. There was still, in the second year, they established that Batman, some people don't know that Batman exists. He's an urban legend. They even established in the Nolan films where you're not going to see this guy. Don't worry about him. He's like a ghost or a boogeyman or someone. They probably either don't know who he is because they probably don't believe it. They've never met man before. He doesn't exist to them.
I'm going to defend Trucker though, because they say in the voiceover, everyone knows who I am or something like that. It was a mistake. Yeah, the voiceover was a mistake.
They know who I am, but do they know like
everyone knows who he is now?
Yeah, I figure like just because they know there's a vigilante on the prowl doesn't mean they know he's a leather boy furry. But at
the end of the film, he is plain as day in the front of the cameras during the day. It's like everyone knows he's a real now.
Yeah, but I do agree with Truckin that is another one of those things that if they just the meticulous detail in other scenes is so at odds with those glaring mistakes, like the Maximum Overdrive homage when they reveal Murder Car Batmobile, right? Like that.
And it stalled. It stalled. I love that.
Yeah.
Fast and the Furious.
Yeah. Like what a reveal. Like, it's like, that's badass. And
the music. And have we talked about the music? The music in that scene I love. It's like something out of Road Warrior, Blade Runner type stuff. That music, that horror music. Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah. There were parts of the movie I thought the music was excellent. There were parts where I was actually rolling my eyes at the score.
No.
The use of Ave Maria was it was terrible. No. It ended up in the score. Like I was waiting for it. They have a boy singer, Ave Maria, because it's an orphan and all that stuff. And why that song? Like Dupai Jesu or something original. But then I was listening to it in the score, and of course they did the minor key, like da 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 da, when it's a soulful Batman moment. I'm like, fuck, I don't. You're leaving so much amorphous, and you are beating me in the face like that bomb in that scene in this moment. It was so uneven.
Honestly, his main theme, I just kept hearing like an incomplete version of the Imperial March from
it sounds just like it. Oh my gosh, you're right.
It was John Williams having prison sex with Danny Elfman.
Oh my God. I love it.
What did you guys think of the Nirvana track?
Liana, I'm here for it.
Love it.
Hey, I'm a Batman fan, Liana, but everything you're saying, I'm here for it. I'm eating it up.
Because I'm a Batman fan, I catch these things. Like I actually did an entire hour-and-a-half long podcast about the 89 Batman film. And I one of the things I like about some of the casting and the way they interwove, like Gordon being, I think Jeffrey Wright's mixed race, and Zoe Kravitz, and Prince is so much the DNA through his music of that franchise. And I think in the 89 film, he actually understood the characters better than anyone else in the movie with like his Gemini duality thing. And to use Jeffrey Wright and Zoe Kravitz as people who have been really screwed by the system, and that visual language I thought was interesting. I wonder if that was an accident or deliberate, because as the franchise goes on, what does that mean for casting going forward? You know, are they going to continue that shorthand? You know what I'm saying?
To Alan Red, I agree with you, man. Of all the Batman movies, Danny Elfman's score is the best.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I really I like the score. I know you guys didn't. I like the use of Nirvana. I don't like Nirvana at all. I have publicly said I think they're overrated, and I heard the song and I'm like, oh my god, it's so good. It's so fitting.
I was a huge Nirvana fan. You can say Nirvana is great and also say they are overrated. Of all the songs they could have picked for that moment, that was another one. It's like punching me in the head, like that bomb.
I liked it.
I don't have any feelings so in the way. A man is driving, and he goes under the bridge. And oh my fucking god, the 90s child in me like threw up and then remembered what happened to Kurt Cobain. And then I started thinking of the Crow movie.
Yes.
Oh yeah, you got Crow vibes from
it. He had all the makeup and shit. Yeah. I'm like, damn, I
love that though. Like, if you look back at the old movies, when they were gonna take his cowl off, they would literally take his makeup off. This is the first time we've ever seen it like addressed where his makeup is still there.
Yeah, Batman Returns at near the very end, we tears off the mask. You can see it. It goes from
it's so bad.
To none. Yeah.
Yeah. It's that pulls off the cowl and there's perfect hair thing. I thought the makeup was sort of a character point. I liked the fake out in that way because I thought that was going to be another thing they punched me in the face with, and they didn't. And I give them credit for that, where Batman is the real person, Bruce Wayne is the mask. They dropped that line in, but that was during the Riddler's big gone completely cray-cray speech, so you don't have to buy into it. And I really enjoyed that. Like, there's the subtlety that made the punches in the face just seem like DC upper management going, people aren't going to understand this, man, make it dumb. You know, it just felt like certain decisions were forced on the movie, and it made the movie less, not less good, but less accessible in terms of trying to understand the intent, if that makes any sense.
It does. I want to address Comic Boom here real quick. Right. I love this scene. And I get why people are saying they turned him into Superman. I get that. But like, when he cut that electric line, and it was like very like what would you say? Like it was his baptism. He fell into the water, he became the torchbearer, and that little boy, that was the moment he sensed the little boy pulled back because he trusted Batman more than he trusted the EMS. Mm-hmm. And you know, I'm all girl about it. I'm tearing up and I'm crying and I'm like, Batman, he just saved that little boy. And like, that for me was that inspiring moment where he realized that not only is he vengeance, so to speak, and he's fear, and he puts that fear in the criminals, but he also makes people feel like they can walk home at night. He also makes people feel like they are not alone in this huge city that is riddled with crime. And I thought that was actually a really good take on Batman that we don't normally see. I get it. He's not a firefighter, but he was needed. I think that moment he was needed. Go ahead.
I'm sorry.
I think I was going to say you were right about something, Kenneth, so maybe don't interrupt me right now. No, I thought Kenneth was spot on saying the Superman hope thing. And this is a like big, like top tier editorial mistake on the part of DC Comics, is making Superman have the market cornered on hope, right? Because why isn't the entire Justice League about freaking hope? You know, why isn't Wonder Woman hope? Why isn't Aquaman hope? Why isn't, but both their names were Martha. Why can we have two Marthas, but only one hope? But it is, Kenneth is absolutely right. that the correct answer in DC is that Superman is hope. Batman is I am the terror that flaps in the night or something. I don't know. And one of the things DC Comics seems to be struggling with on the comics end right now is that they know they can't make Batman that abusive dick anymore, but they don't quite know where to land him. They did the Damian Wayne thing. They're doing the other things now, the this and the that. They don't know how to soften him. And I thought that scene actually found it. Right?
Yes.
His hand was a bit shaky. It seemed a bit weird. It was awkward. He looked a little out of place in the sun, and he was kind of finding his way through. And I wish they'd used a word other than hope, to Kenna's point. Crack the thesaurus on that one, right? Because what's the opposite of vengeance? Redemption. Not hope. Redemption. I wish the word had been redemption. There.
Ooh, yeah.
Not hope.
That's a really good point. Let me get the super chat. Like Robert said, Batman at the end of New Frontier Batman. Yes.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. We're going back to like Darwin Cook and stuff. That's
Rest in
I felt
peace.
like I felt like they took a lot of inspiration from his writing.
Mhm.
And I love I know no this has nothing to do with the movie, but I love at the end of the trailers that they put out that they had 3 books, like a little packet you can buy to prepare for Batman, and it's got Darwin Cook in there. It's got Things a Long Halloween in year 1 or something like that. I love that they're using the movie to market their books.
Yes.
And then on top of it, they made a novel as a prequel to this movie, which I was totally going to review, but I never got to it. That explains that he's already like ventured out and all this stuff. So I love that they're actually using the platform of this massive movie to try to sell some of their books. I think that's great.
I just hope Marsha's getting the money from the sales of Darwin Cook's books. Like his widow.
They were doing NFTs for a while there, and she was like not getting the money from it. Like that's still wrong. It's so messed up.
Yeah, Darwin was local here at the TCAF scene. He was a wonderful guy. And they're not totally doing right by his widow. So I hope that doesn't continue because Darwin Cook's fingerprints are all over this movie.
Oh yeah, and I think that's a really positive thing. Like the introspective, I want to see how they continue this Batman, how he hones in his Bruce Wayne because he doesn't have it down yet, like at all. And I want to see what they can do with it in this world. I don't want them to go, okay, let's go really big and go Justice League, go this. No, focus on Gotham. Make Gotham your main priority, and you have endless streams of content. You've got the Bat Family. You mentioned Helena Bertinelli. Like, who wouldn't love seeing, like, Gotham City Sirens? I know that's a little out there and fantastical, but if you focus on this, you have so much potential. And potential that maybe we didn't see with the other properties. I don't know. I think it's really smart what they're doing with it.
But Tristan, I think I have an answer to one of your questions, how you can develop Bruce Wayne. I think when the new, not the mayor-elect, I forget the character's name. She's the black female politician.
Mayor Lightfoot.
Belle Reeve.
Real.
Or Bella Real, that's what it is.
Bella Real, thank you, people. And she approaches him in the funeral, and she says, Bruce Wayne, what are you doing? Look, you could do more for this city. I have plans, but I need your help. And then when you find out what the Riddler leaks about Bruce Wayne's family or something, one, he's going to I think he's going to come out of the shadows, be more personable in public to clear his family's name and to help the new mayor-elect. So in that way, we may get, I don't know if we'll get the Playboy Bruce Wayne, but we're going to get a Bruce Wayne that's more personable to the public and help people out, right? Because when he's going to want to develop the Bruce Wayne persona, separate that from the Batman persona, clear his family's name, and help his legacy grow. So that may be one way you can get that.
Yeah, be more charitable, be the entrepreneur that he knows. Because there was one line in there that bugged me, and I get it, he's early, but Alfred said something about you're supposed to go to this charity event, and he's like, I don't care about any of that. Bruce Wayne cares about what his family's name is.
At this
And
moment, but at this moment, he doesn't care about it because he's all about the mission and vengeance.
The
When
whole
Batman
plot.
first started out, that's clear the way he was because he
Yeah.
as soon as he came
You're
out
right.
the
You're
dark,
right.
yeah, he's all about vengeance, being Batman, stopping criminals. He doesn't care about the Bruce Wayne or the money, any of that stuff.
The whole plot wouldn't have worked if he was paying attention to where his family money was going, because the whole thing was a charitable fund with no oversight.
Yeah.
So it was all
Yep.
his fault.
Yep. And he's going to have to fix it. And that's how they're going to have to go further. Robert, thank you so much. Do you want Robin, Huntress, Batgirl, Cassandra? I would love to see Cassandra Cain.
I'd love to see Cassandra
Oh
Cain
my
too.
goodness. That Cassandra Cain that we got in Batgirl, Harley Quinn, Birds of Prey.
Oh, she was amazing.
Yeah.
I haven't
That's
seen that
funny,
movie.
Drew.
I haven't seen that movie. I couldn't.
Oh, yeah, it was something.
It was a choice.
Not Cassandra Cain at all.
My favorite Batgirl, by the way.
Are we all Cassandra Cain fans here?
Yes, I think we are. What about you?
Nice.
Absolutely.
I love Cassandra. She's so I loved her. One of my favorite storylines ever is No Man's Land. Like, it's such a great encompassing, like going from Cataclysm to No Man's Land and getting the clean. I love that storyline. Something I could read over and over again. And her trying to say thank you to Helena Bertinelli is one of my favorite moments, just because she turns around and walks away and she gets that thank you out. And I think that's like, I don't know if it was because I was young when I read it or whatever, but that moment is like one of the most humanistic moments Cassandra can have. And I absolutely love it. Renewal fund. Thank you, Robert.
Yeah.
Proves Bruce giving money doesn't work. No, not necessarily. That proves that there is corruption in Gotham that absolutely needs to be cleaned up. And that was what the Riddler was doing. Like, Riddler, his whole mission was, I'll be the one to say, like, he was doing good the wrong way.
It was vengeance. He was vengeance too. He was actually more successful at vengeance than Batman was.
But he thought they were working together, which is so weird. Yeah.
I actually liked that scene. It was like, I am fascinated by this phenomenon where there's a audience proxy as a psychopath. In Vigilante's the same way in Peacemaker, that if you look at a character in the movie, that looks like the presumed audience.
Yes.
Right? And the hero worship that exudes off of these, it's like DC is struggling with the toxic fan. You could say that whole group of internet people, the whole idea of, the forgotten, the invisible people, that is your average comic book fan. And I'm still not sure how to feel about that whole thing. The way they did that, because
so you got that vibe too, that it was the type of they were going for the radicalization of kind of the incel type, I guess you could say.
Yeah,
I thought so too.
And it sort of gave them motivation. You sort of understood what they were going for. I would have preferred, instead of her getting shot in the shoulder with a .556 caliber bullet and walking it off, I would have preferred they were actually just crappy shots and missed, or just winged her, because these were just angry guys who got guns and came up with a plan, but didn't have the skills.
Well, did you notice that the guy that Bruce Wayne was talking to when he was walking into the funeral, who was complaining about, that was the guy that he started punching?
Yeah,
that was the same guy. So he was.
What was that about, that scene?
When he said, "I am vengeance"?
No, when he shot himself full of adrenaline and went crazy.
Because they shot him with the gun, and he was weakened, and he needed.
Or was it adrenaline? Or was it venom?
Yeah, I've heard it was.
Was it venom?
That was when Tristan talked. When somebody talked about a new idea in the last minutes, this is where I thought you were going, but it was something else. That point, I was like, "What? What this?" I felt like there was a scene cut there where they introduced that element. Because it came out of nowhere. I'm like, after all him, no, don't kill, don't take it on you, don't kill. And all of a sudden he's like Mortal Kombating the motherfucker. Like, what's happening here?
It was the
It's
adrenaline.
on the theme.
It's Venom.
But they didn't introduce that.
Is
that
that
there was
It's Venom.
what?
I think it was adrenaline. But
Yeah,
that
it was
would be
adrenaline,
cool.
Yeah.
But what?
Because-
like, was that
He wanted to
anywhere
realize
before that moment?
No,
Well,
yeah,
he had to realize that he was taking things too far. And when that guy echoed what he said, I am vengeance, that was his moment of realization that he needs to do things correctly.
And
But
Thank you
Gordon,
so much, Robert. I mean,
Right.
it counters the Twitter idiots who complain. I get that. I get what you mean.
The whole time, though, he was bat-splaining Catwoman about violence. Like, no, don't do it, because they had to do the Jim Lee panel, right, with the cuddles during a heist. That's all that was.
The cuddle.
But I was like, at least it wasn't in a fucking sewer this time. But like, he's like chastising her, and who gives a shit whether Falcone dies? She wouldn't care. She'd walk away from that just fine. And then he does that, negating all the he did before that point. Like, please don't make Batman an unnecessary asshole. He's already 50% asshole to begin with, you know?
my
Like,
explanation
it's just weird.
I'm sorry.
So go ahead.
My apologies for cutting you off, Liana. I'm sorry. My apologies. My explanation for that, yeah, Batman has his rules, but there have been issues in the comic books where he can be pushed over that ledge and he needs people to bring him back. Like, people seldom follow their own advice. That's just
but where was that before that moment? I get you with the comics, but it's the Marvel Cinematic Universe problem.
Oh.
I don't want to have to read 58 books to understand what's going on in a movie, because I have, and I feel like a jerk because I know this shit. I want the movie to tell me what version of this character they're using, right? And this is so atypically Bruce Wayne all the way through. He's more Tim Drake than Bruce Wayne in a lot of places here.
What?
Well, with the sort of being morose and sad and actually having feelings and all that stuff. And then at the end, they just expect us to know that it just really feels like a scene was cut. And I don't get what the purpose of that was, other than they had to leave it in because otherwise the reveal with the guy in the memorial and the forgotten people of Gotham and all that stuff wouldn't land. But it was just that whole sequence from the time he gets hit with the shotgun to that point, I was lost the entire time. I had no idea what I was supposed to be thinking and feeling about any of that. It was a mess.
I just think they were trying to do the realization that he can't fight like that guy, but the adrenaline thing was so he could help Selena, and I get it, but he took it too far, and I think that was
he was hot on adrenaline. It was the adrenaline that was getting that he was going, and until if Gordon didn't pull him off that moment, he would have gone too far. Which, for a long time, I was never a Robin fan because I never thought Batman needed Robin. He has Alfred. He has Commissioner Gordon. They're the guys who can keep him aligned if he goes too far. So,
I think they were trying to echo that moment in Hush where Batman's so mad about Thomas Elliot, he's just beating the ever-living shit out of Joker, but it didn't land as well. It didn't land near as well.
You're right. It's probably an appendix from the original Batfleck script. That makes sense, because that started as a Ben Affleck project, right? And then it got totally reworked.
Let me get my super chat here.
That's probably what it is.
Yeah.
Could be.
I kept thinking that the mayor's son could be the universe. That's what I kept thinking too.
I've been waiting to say. Yeah.
But I think he took the Venom because I thought it was adrenaline, but people said it was green, so maybe that's why it almost killed him. They could be setting something up, kind of at like sprinkling it in that and the Joker and a couple other teases with Hush to kind of see where people, get the reaction of where people want them to go. But then why come out and say he wants to do Mr. Freeze?
Right. But there is the Danny Elfman storyline where he's introduced to Venom. So
thank you so much, Carrie, by the way.
But where is the Venom in this movie? That's
yeah.
Give me an excuse. Give me an excuse.
No, I don't think there is Venom. I just think he just had adrenaline that put into him. But
see, I agree with you. I think people are overcomplicating this.
Right.
Yeah.
It was green. Venom is green.
So do we?
I would love to see Bane. I'm not gonna lie. I would love to see Bane, like a real brute against our little teeny Batman. How fucking awesome would that be?
I would love to see, because we set up this adrenaline thing. No, say hypothetical. It is Venom. Let's say in the next film he's having to use it too much. He goes over the edge with it, and he has to go through withdrawal of it. You know.
Okay.
We have to see him try to come back from that ledge.
Venom so bad.
But I go back again to he didn't need the venom after he took a bomb blast point blank to the face.
Hold up, because
unconscious though.
Because no one that he loved at that moment was in danger, and he wasn't thinking about it. He saw this guy was about to kill Selena Kyle, Catwoman, and he didn't have the strength at that moment, so he needed a booster. So at that moment, he went to his utility belt, got the adrenaline, or just like Leonardo DiCaprio in God, what's that movie? Wolves of Wall Street, and he put a shot of cocaine up his nose and it helped his friend from choking. That's the same situation.
Compare it to cocaine. I love it.
That's another thing. The drops are this bad thing. The drops are this bad thing through the whole movie, and then they have Batman winning by doing drugs at the end. Do you get what I'm saying? Like, it just came out of nowhere, and it was unnecessary. He could have just lost it. I would have accepted. Right. Yeah,
I see what you're saying, but if you know, that's the thing about Batman. Batman will use any advantage he'll do to win a fight, short of killing someone. He's used suits. He's used performance-enhancing drugs or whatever, weapons to kill somebody. And he's
Batman doesn't kill.
Passively.
He unkills.
Right. At that moment, he was going to kill this guy, and then Gordon came in, stopped him from it. So
it was just it was my honest feeling then. It wasn't that, all right, Batman has never done this before. It was just that the first, well, not the first 15 minutes, but like the middle 3/5, except for the bomb blast to the face, were so good. And that last little bit, it just felt like everything they were building fell apart the minute the seawall broke. And all of a sudden we were in a totally different movie with totally different themes and a totally different reality.
That's what I think. The whole third act was a studio note. Like, we need to make this a bigger third ending.
And there was definitely stuff cut.
That third act, right. That third act was Scott Snyder's 0 year. That's what that was.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, 100%.
That's like
No Man's Land.
And I'm thinking, okay, this is 0 year. Why are they putting this in there? But
there was so much build up to 0 year. He was so much more of a Batman.
Riddler,
the Riddler, like, yeah, there was so much more. You can't do 0 year in a year two. You just can't. You got to have build up to it. And I get what they were going for, but like at this point, this whole rebirth of Batman, like we're talking about millions dead. Like how much of the seawall did the seawall break around the whole city? From my understanding,
well, they can just do an MCU thing. Well, they'll just retcon everything so Loki only killed 78 people instead of 8 million people, like they originally said. They'll just retcon that. Oh, there were a bunch of broken bones and everything, but it was fine. Everything's good. Everyone just got really, really wet.
I gotta say, Liana, I'm surprised that you're so hung up on the bomb blast to the face thing and not the him crashing into the bus and the bridge and just kind of walking away. In the he's being chased by the World War Z cop.
You know what it is? It's that I have seen so many Batman panels where he's bleeding from his mouth. right?
Yeah.
Like it's the one place where he's vulnerable. They have it dripping, like it's cut up, his nose is bleeding, everything like that. And like they're right in on it, right? And there's always like the little tiny word balloon where he says like one word. It's usually like no or something like that. And then he punches them. That it was so bloodless that it was just all they would have had to do is have him bring his cape up with it was a timer, right?
Or turn around and start running.
Just bring the cape up. Give me something so he didn't take it right to the face.
Bomb to the. This would be a drinking game. Every time you let your bomb to the face, we should take a shot.
Well, no, we need a drink called the bomb to the face.
A bomb to the face.
Bomb to the face. Like, yeah.
I think the blood had to do with they were dancing on that rated R line.
And until then, they lift up the guy's mask and he's all beaten black and blue, right? It was just.
This is the nuke the fridge scene from like Indiana Jones and the Crystal Skull.
Yes, that is exactly what it is. It's that moment of why did you do that? Because reasons. But it didn't. The nuke the fridge didn't bother me as the movie went on. Okay, that whole movie wasn't very good. We are comparing apples and oranges here, and I think it's that I saw Spider-Man No Way Home like 5 days before I saw the Batman, and talk about a tight movie. You know, they did so much in No Way Home that compared to that, it is just when Marvel wants to make a whole bunch of money and when DC wants to make a whole bunch of money. And I know that DC's process is completely different, but the experience of No Way Home, I went with my mother and she didn't know who Doctor Strange was. And she was asking me questions through the entire freaking movie because she had no idea who half these people were. She called Green Goblin Green Lantern at one point. And like,
so cute, though.
It is adorable, but that's the movie-going audience. People shouldn't have to know about the Bane venom to understand the climax of the film.
Yeah.
You know, and if it was like the fourth movie in the franchise or an extension of the Snyderverse, something like that, all right, whatever. But this is a brand new world, and they've already established that so many other things aren't like what previous Batmans are, you know, like Martha Wayne being institutionalized, right? That does Venom exist? What is it? How does it work? Where did it come from? Are we saying, you know, one person pointed out to me that they didn't actually explain where he got all his gear from, even. And I went, yeah, I figured he was just burning through money, but how did nobody think?
I mean, he looked kind of like weird. A DIY Batman compared to other ones, like
except for the custom batarangs.
Subway. Yeah, yeah,
like, that was a cool detail, but that's money right there.
Yeah. Let me get the super chat real quick, guys. Sorry. Reese, thank you so much. I'm getting into AEW. This is a good show. Keep it up, Nerdette. Thank you so much, Reese. Have fun with your wrestling. I think that's AEW, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So Gary, you brought up No Way Home, so I did want to. Oh, go ahead.
I'm sorry. Okay, Gary, thank you so much. Drop was pink, but there was a guy that had a green drop mask. So maybe that is a new version of drops they're calling Venom. That could be. That's another good idea. Yeah, the drops went in their eyes, though, didn't they?
Yeah.
That's what I thought. Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry.
So with No Way Home, it brings up a good question. It's something I thought about. Do you believe if you guys were kids, would you have enjoyed this Batman movie?
No.
That's my biggest problem lately. I mean, aside from Shazam and maybe Aquaman, I just feel like, you know, the fun Batman's kind of gone. You know, Batman and Robin. I know these are horrible examples for movies, but
no, it's so fun.
Yeah, it is, and I kind of miss that. And it was a great movie, and you know, I'm not going to discredit it at all, but you know, I don't know. I wouldn't expect a kid to enjoy this movie.
See,
no, I get your
you're
point.
Right. I told Tristan the same thing before the movie came out. I told her this doesn't look fun, and sure enough, I mean, as an adult. Yes, in a way, if you want a good detective noir thriller, yeah, you're going to enjoy this. But as a kid, you're going to be bored to tears.
Yeah.
I mean, I probably would have not liked it for a very different reason. Because I'm thinking of myself as a teenager and I was into The Crow and I was into Batman Returns and all that stuff. But I just would have felt like Selena Kyle was so mistreated through the whole thing. I would have come out of that movie as depressed as I came out of X-Men 2, where Deathstrike was mute and Mystique was mute. And I would have just felt very like, well, this movie shows, women girls just exist for boys to watch change and kiss and then don't matter. That's how, because in Batman Returns, Catwoman gets sort of the last laugh, right?
Yeah.
She has that big emancipation moment and she rejects him. And so everything else that happened with Christopher Walken and all the horrible stuff Selena Kyle went through at the end, you're like, all right, she's sold the I am Catwoman, hear me roar. This movie didn't have that. She never became Catwoman. And I get that the movie is called The Batwoman, not The Catwoman. But her story just felt so frustratingly incomplete. She was just there for primarily to look good, and she looked good. And it was almost like Zoe Kravitz put a ton into the performance, and so there was more there as written. And again, maybe a bunch of stuff got cut, right? Because I just wouldn't like that. Oh, he becomes a horrible person and always kills a guy for her. I would have really been upset at that messaging as a teenager.
Right.
See, I think I would totally disagree with you on that. I felt like this was the first time we got a really fully fledged out Selena Kyle, where she's not a joke, where she's not, the butt of a joke. I get like Anne Hathaway kind of tried at that point, but we get a full backstory with her. We get her working alongside Bruce. I hate that he looked at her changing. I thought that was so weird.
I'm not saying it's right or wrong. The question was, would I have enjoyed this as like a 14
as a kid? Okay, yeah. So,
yeah,
but you know what? I would have. Batman, if it had Batman title on it, yeah, I would have enjoyed it. To be honest with you, but that's coming from somebody that loves Batman,
I have a question for you guys, to Trucker and Liana. You saying that this film is lacking fun or it's not a fun Batman movie? What do you mean exactly by that? And what would you add into the movie to make it fun?
Don't get it twisted. I had fun at this movie. I was just saying, from not as much fun as I had when I was seeing No Way Home for nostalgia reasons. And I mean, I could see being a kid and totally like loving and enjoying that movie. I'm saying, like, there's no way you could put that kids' fun in that story. Like, this world is not for kids.
Yes.
So
yeah. And I think like to me again, it felt very much like The Crow. From the 90s, and I love that movie, and that movie was terrible, right? Like go back and watch it. It was
Brandon Lee Crow. You saying that movie's terrible?
I loved the movie, but it was the 90s. Buildings burn, people die, but true love is forever. Like, come on, it was bad, but we love. It's just bad. Like, okay. The clunker line of Batman, but this is what we're talking about—the fun. Right? Like, this is on topic. Like that scene where Michael Keaton's dancing with Michelle Pfeiffer, and it's like, mistletoe can be deadly if you eat it. A kiss can be even deadlier if you. Oh, it's the line. It's a horrible line. It's so cliche and bad for, as an adult writer, but that's fun. It's corny and you're in on the joke, and then Selena Kyle is like taking mannequin dummies' heads off, and the Penguin has all these like penguins with little bomb backpacks and shit. Like, this is not a kids movie. This is a different thing. I personally think they should have gone with an R rating, but there's no way Warner would have let them do an R-rated Batman. No way. Superman, no, but I don't think the movie is required to be fun. Like I said, I don't think I would have liked it as a kid for a completely different reason. And that was just, it's not that it wasn't fun. It ultimately felt and I think this is because the ending just went on and on and on and on. And again, if they had landed on the hella lift paramedic scene, it would have been very different. But that whole thing with him talking her into staying and her saying no and them driving away, and it was this long thing of them on motorcycles. I don't know again what I was supposed to get from that.
I think they were trying to build it up.
Yeah.
They were thinking that we were thinking as a huge emotional moment, but I'm like, I'm not getting any emotion out of the scene here.
Yeah. Okay, so you guys felt the same way, that it was
No.
sort of like
I felt their characters on two different paths. There is a connection there, but because of who they are and their paths, like Batman by this point, like she says, like she asked to come in, but she looks at Batman, looks at the bat signal, looks at Batman again, and she says, "Oh, wait a minute, you're spoken for."
But how did they?
Yes, that was such a good line.
Yeah.
But how did they get the motorcycles off the roof and through the water?
He's Batman.
It's Batman.
Good question.
What are you focusing?
How?
They're bat ski bikes.
They're on the roof. The bat signal is there. What did they like gun it? Like it's Saints Row all of a sudden? They just like went right off the roof, hydroplaned, and then like, how did they get those bikes out of the city?
Yeah, they're ski bikes. Yeah.
Like,
they're
never drove through another corridor because they were driving through the graveyard and then through underpasses and stuff.
But how did they get off the roof?
Oh,
a big crane comes out like, oh wait, I gotta leave. Wait, boop, boop, boop.
Oh my goodness.
Oh no, wait, I gotta lock my cat in, man. Boop, boop. Just like big thing, like.
I don't know. As somebody that completely disagrees with this whole conversation on, I felt the emotion in that moment. I loved the line of "You're already spoken for," and the only thing I think I think you're right, Kenneth. There is a path for them, but they're too early. It's way too early to intertwine them yet. She's going off. I think a lot of that was setting up. She's going off for her own spinoff, right? She's getting her own show. So I wonder if they're gonna go like When in Rome for this, like her getting her own. I would like to see something along those lines. She was, to me, I thought she was like I said, I thought she was fully fledged out finally, and now we're gonna get even more. We're gonna get maybe her redemption from the terrible life that she's had to leave, looking at her father, you know, all the time in that club, knowing it was her dad and him not giving a fuck. Like, I want to see that. I want to see her become a full character. I love, and I say this about the comics all the time. I know a lot of people were upset when the marriage didn't happen. I'm glad it didn't happen. I like Selena so much, I want her on her own. I want to see her by herself. Don't put her with Batman, because then she just becomes a Robin.
Right. And I
well, had I known there was going to be a Catwoman show while I saw that movie, it might have hit differently for me.
Yeah.
But I didn't know until this.
You
that they were
shouldn't have to know, though. It's
that
same thing.
I'm judging just by the movie. She's going off on her own because just like Batman, she's is a loner herself. I think she may appear somewhere in the second movie. I think she's going off in abroad to be a thief, to learn how to steal, and like she said, to have fun, to live her life. She's not like Bruce, to where she's happy she got out of it, and she wants him to get out of it too. But she knows that he's married to Gotham. That's his ultimate love, is of Gotham, and to fight crime and to fight for his family and stuff. That's what he's in for. So
yeah, I mean that's what you're supposed to get. I just didn't need the scene, right? Like she could have gone off on her own spin-off show. I didn't need that 15 minutes and another unanswered question of how did she get a motorcycle off a roof with a cat on the back. Just so
they could have ended it on the roof very easily without that scene going apart. Or added one line about them separating. But
I love the whole thing. I like even at the end where when he's driving off, he's still looking at his rear view mirror at her, knowing
that was sweet. In my heart,
I love the whole thing.
If that had been the credit roll, I would have been totally fine with it. Like if they had rolled the credits on the side while they're driving, sweet. But it just felt like extra long, like more endings than Lord of the Rings.
I thought it ended 3 times before it actually.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah.
And I think this might be like a writer's irritation, a producer's irritation, because any work I'd submit, I would have gotten spanked for all these things that I've brought up. Somebody would have said, at the exact same type of nerds that are like, oh, it's Batman, it was Batman, would have been, but not realistic, right? Like, we're still fighting about people are, Terry McGinnis wasn't half Asian and Aloy looks like a man, but they're forgiving all these continuity errors. And I think that's probably the thing that's chafing me, because consistent standards, please. If you are going to bust every little thing in Black Panther because your identity is not tied up in this movie, please be consistent in Batman.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
Dang, that's perfect.
And I love Black Panther. That is like a near perfect movie to me.
And you know what?
Back to everything, all the stupid, the ancestors, everything explained. Completely fantastic, but everybody could follow it, right? The tattoos in the lip and what's going on at the end and them fighting in water, all of that, because they had to, because they didn't have the pedigree of the Bat.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Love it.
Going back to what Shannon said about the fun in it, I think sometimes the fun annoys me. Sometimes I want serious Batman. Like, he's the character to go with this
We've had that with Christopher Nolan, and then Batfleck, and this. It's like, I was commenting on the state of Batman for the past like 6-7 movies.
No, I totally get what you're saying, but like, I don't want to walk into Batman and have a side character go, "Can you say please?" Like, it's just degrading to a point, right? Like, I don't want that. I want a serious Batman film, and I want something different, and I think this delivered all of that. This was very, like, I know everyone's comparing it to it, but 7. It's very 7.
But you know what? That's the thing about. I'm sorry, Leonard.
No, you go ahead, Kenneth. Go ahead.
If I'm cutting off, I do apologize, and I'm sorry.
No, I cut you off there.
Good. I think what you guys are talking about, basically, is aesthetics, and it's also subjectivity. It's like, like some kids, kids or some adults may not find this movie fun, but they like The Dark Knight, or like you said, Trucker, like Spider-Man Homecoming. With regards to, Spider-Man No Way Home, I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm.
With No Way Home in this, even with Spider-Man himself, he's also a more fun, adventurous character. He's a little lighthearted than Batman. And No Way Home, their aesthetic, they stuck to the story of that with his villains. What he has, wacky, crazy superhero villains. That's going to be more fun, a little more entertaining. But even when you're doing a Batman, whether it's The Dark Knight or 89 or this movie, there's an element of darkness to it that in some ways is not going to be as fun as Spider-Man. But each of these Batman films have their own different aesthetics that may make it fun. I do agree in some ways The Dark Knight is a lot more fun than this. But in some ways of the story, they're both dark stories. So,
No Way Home is a dark story, man. Like, dark. Yeah. If you actually think about it, and there's an example of, I'm going to spoil No Way Home. There is a moment where I totally understood why Peter was gonna fucking kill Osborn. And you knew why, and you were totally like, you know what? If I was there, he didn't need no venom out of nowhere. No, you totally understood why he was pushed past his limit and blamed himself, and they built that character to that point. And again, because they have managed to accomplish this in a movie that had a lot more silly moments, they had all that time in that Batman film. And instead of going, you know what? I'm done. This is all my fault. My father was not the man I thought he was. Everyone in town is corrupt. Why can't I just unload on this guy? Why can't I truly be the thing everybody says I am? Vengeance. I'm going to be vengeance. Boom, 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 boom. You don't need Venom. You had all the character motivation right there. Like or adrenaline or whatever the hell it is. You don't need that. I'm crazy now. Guy's already bug fuck crazy. You know, he lost. That's why he's beating the crap out of the guy, because he fucking lost. Riddler beat him. You know, if he actually won, there wouldn't be water and electricity and like a woman with a gunshot wound wading through seawater, which I'm sitting there like, have you ever got seawater in a wound?
Oh, gross.
Oh, it hurts so much.
I bet.
It doesn't matter if it was adrenaline or venom. The point is you didn't need the you know, the MacGuffin or the Deus Ex Machina or the you know, the sudden new element introduced right at the end. The dude's life has been torn apart. Everything he thought he knew. I mean, the whole thing is lies, 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 right? And what do you do? And again, it's really all his fault, and I have a little bit of an issue with that. But you know, I have a bit of an issue with blaming the whole sins of the father thing. That was a thing I had.
Yeah.
That's not vengeance. That's paying it forward. They were a bit mushy on themes, and like I said, if there hadn't been that great, oh my god, Peter Parker almost killed Green Goblin and I bought it moment that I'd seen within the same week, I think I would have been much more forgiving. But Tom Holland is cheek squeezy adorable, and he sold it. You know,
I love that scene. That's a beautiful scene. When Tobey Maguire stops him from doing it, he's at the exact position. If you remember the Spider-Man movie where Hobgoblin was going to use the same glider, but you switch perspectives. At that point, he was trying to defend his life, but in this one, he's stopping Tom Holland from making a grave mistake that will
and when
lose his soul.
When Andrew Garfield saves MJ and he almost loses it because of look, we're all like, this is like that scene in Sleepless in Seattle where all the guys are crying over the Magnificent Seven, right? Like, this is acceptable man tears territory right now, right? The Batman didn't. They could have built it, and they could have gone there, and they went for a cheap out in that moment. And again, I don't. It's just DC. It has that Warner Brothers DC fingerprints all over certain parts of that movie that I think they went, this isn't exciting enough. It needs more explosions. It needs more destruction. It needs more. It needs more. It needs more. They weren't happy with a detective film. And it's the weakest parts. Sorry, go ahead.
No. We got to answer the question before we wrap up. The title here. Is this, starting with Kenneth, is this the best Batman ever? And if not, what is?
As far as movie?
Yeah, or actor.
It's too soon to tell. Too soon. Because, like, for one, let me say there is not a wrong answer here. Like as they say, the all opinions is subjective. Everyone has different aesthetics, what appeals to them, what's not. But it's too soon to tell. It's not. You can't really, not even subjective or even objectively, you can't answer that question at this point. It's going to take years because people still fight over which is better, Batman 89 or the Dark Knight trilogy. You know,
if they continue the strong detective work, I think so.
Let me get this super chat real quick, guys. Gary, thank you so much. I think the movie entertained me, but I don't know how I feel because it's confusing. Does Riddler know he's Batman because he tried to bomb Bruce, but he wanted Batman next to him at the end? No. Thank you very much, Gary. From my understanding, with that last scene where he was saying Bruce Wayne was the only one we didn't get, that
was a good scene.
Yeah, that was like, I was like, oh my God, he knows him. Yeah. And then he went on and he didn't. Yeah. So from my understanding, he still thinks they're two different people. Paul Dano was menacing. Oh God, great performance.
Trucker, have you seen There Will Be Blood?
He's in that, isn't he?
Yes. Yeah, he plays the preacher.
Yeah.
Twin brothers.
Yeah. There Will Be Blood.
See, I will say, after I've spent this entire movie dunking on things, and Kenneth and I have to work together more because we've just been back and forth the whole time. After he says,
besides, no one took out prisoners.
Yeah. I will say, this is the best single Batman movie ever. Completely, like, in terms of, yes, it's flawed, but every single Batman movie has been flawed. And I think I came on this stream, Tristan, and said at one point, there has not been a single truly solid Batman film made yet. And for me to even say I loved 83% of it is more than it would have been Batman Returns before this. But I have to objectively admit that as a whole, The Batman is a better film than Batman Returns. Batman Returns is a more fun film than The Batman.
I did not expect that answer, but I love it.
Hell yeah, that's awesome.
What about you, Drew?
Man.
It's not, to me, it's not the best one. To be honest with you, I rewatched it again. It's a fan film. Batman dying is easy. I love that fan film so much. It is so much fun. It shows you what you can do on a very, very small budget, even if Michael Madsen's wearing sneakers.
What's it called?
Dying is easy.
Is that one of the Bat in the Sun productions?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, I know which one. It's so good, so good.
Yeah, to me, like, that was Batman to a T. But it's not an actual film. But I'm rewatching The Dark Knight again. I'm having so much fun watching The Dark Knight. It's just, granted, it's 2.5 hours, but I don't feel it. It's a roller
I
coaster.
do. Same problem. Too many endings. That movie just keeps going on and on and on. And
it is my favorite superhero movie still, The Dark Knight. How it's filmed, how it's paced, the acting.
Even over Spider-Man?
I just hate Christian Bale's Batman.
I love his Bruce Wayne. It's like his Bruce Wayne is the best, but I would say Ben Affleck's Batman to me is the best one. Ben Affleck's Batman was like, that's the guy I never want to come across in an alleyway ever.
Hot take.
Kevin Conroy is the best Batman ever.
Yes.
I don't care what no one says. That's not an opinion. That's a fact.
That's a fact. That's right.
Live action Batman. We have to qualify.
Live action. Yeah, I should have prefaced. Let me get this super chat.
Go ahead.
Real quick, Kenneth. The hooded man fallacy is what tripped up Bruce. Very good insight, commented by Nance.
I
thank you very much.
What I think tripped up Bruce is that he took confession literally, and he shouldn't have. Because a murder weapon is not a confession. It's evidence. But Bruce Wayne, they actually set it up, and this was something I didn't think was a mistake. Bruce Wayne didn't respect the chain of evidence the entire freaking movie.
No, not at all.
Whatever. Whatever. Just
but Dave established he is a young Batman in the second year.
Yeah. So that one, I actually thought that he didn't they kept screwing up the riddles. I mean, he got the first one, but then I thought it was funny they got the Spanish wrong. But then it was like, that's not a confession. That's a murder weapon. And what has every other thing been? He hasn't given him the item. He gave him the key to the item. And they're just like, oh, whatever. It's a tool. It's the murder weapon. That's not a confession. He wasn't the world's greatest detective in this movie. Not yet. Not yet.
But
let me get the super chat, guys. But he put to Bruce Wayne on the letter that came with the bomb when it said Batman inside the letter. So to me, he says he knows.
I did that with every victim.
That's another clue. That's all that was.
Oh yeah, he did that with every victim. Yeah, it all said to the Batman. Yeah. So yeah, I don't think he knows. I do need to rewatch it. I really, really do. But like,
next
week, I would say
no.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, he didn't know. I thought that was a beautiful fake out at the end. He performed it so well.
And the fake out with Alfred got me too. I didn't figure it out until I realized, oh my God, that was so good.
You thought that it was the big, somebody knows he's Bruce Wayne again, and then no. And that was, and I kind of like that he didn't do anything when he thought he was going to be exposed. He just went And because he actually maintained his sense of justice there, he didn't violate his principles to save himself. I thought that was a nice character moment. He was going to go, he was going to finish it, he was going to finish the case. And if he was exposed, he was exposed. He felt it was just at that moment. I thought that was a nice character point that kind of redeemed him after he beat the shit out of a guy.
Yeah, I totally agree. And Shannon, you said no, right? Not for the best Batman.
I want to see if they continue the whole detective thing.
I get that.
I mean, that's the essence of Batman. So
yeah.
They're getting him most with this, I think.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yes,
definitely. Yeah, and that's what I was going to say. My answer would be yeah. I think this needs to be explored more. I can't wait to see it explored more. But as far as Batman goes in this early years, messing up as detective, messing up as Batman, falling over, like not getting things right, but still at the end of the day, being able to kind of go to that hopeful place. Go, and I know, I guess the word is not hope, but
redemption.
Redemption. There we go. Getting that redemption for himself for beating that dude in the face, getting that baptismal scene and that torch bearing scene. Right. Having that little boy grab his hand, my heart. That was it. I knew that moment. Robert Pattinson, who I, like on my channel, had said, nope, I don't want to see this guy as Batman. I don't want to see him. Then everybody was like, well, check out this, check out Good Times. I like how the diner was named Good Times Diner. That was cool. That was a nice little throw to him.
Right.
And he's perfect.
Yeah.
Tenet actually convinced me that he could be a good Batman.
I'm interested to see if he pulls Gene Hackman and just bulks up throughout the movies. Like, I wonder if that's going to happen.
He's notorious for refusing to work out for parts, but maybe he will if he takes it a bit more seriously.
Wait, did I say Gene Hackman or Hugh Jackman? I meant
you said Gene Hackman, but I knew who you meant. Maybe we'll get Dad Bod Batman like Dad Bod Thor.
Yeah. I think this is a opportunity for Warner Brothers to finally maybe explore even that idea of having a Robin. Like maybe they're crazy enough to go there at this point. Exploring the idea, just give us some a Bat family member. Give us something. And I think this is the world that they could do it in. I don't know if they'd go child.
Just do Nightwing.
Do Nightwing, yeah.
Everybody wants
give everybody a little dick.
Yeah, there you go. Chris and I went the same place on that joke. Yeah, you don't want to do the child thing, but yeah, giving him somebody. I mean, I would love that Dick Grayson, who actually seems to enjoy what he's doing, precisely because it would be a great foil for this Batman. I mean, they've already mentioned Catwoman's going to Bloodhaven. Maybe she won't stay there. But I think about the first Nolan film and how badly they fucked up Ra's al Ghul. And
my God.
Compared to that beginning, it was just Bane was, I guess, okay, but comparing first film to first film, it's a more solid first film than the 89 Batman movie. It's a more solid film than the first Nolan film. Overall, it's a good. Ra's al Ghul was dreadful in that first Nolan film.
Yeah, I didn't like. I
just
like Liam
desecration
Neeson, but no.
of the character. Just desecration.
Well, he was Henry Descartes. That's why.
Yeah, but even
that's a good way to put it. I like that movie now more if I think of Henry.
Right.
Yeah, but
go ahead. I'm sorry.
It was not a reimagining that worked for me. If you're gonna, and then they had him at the end, and it was just sort of, I don't know. Like I said, I don't like the Christian Bale Batman. He was just rage, and part of it is I couldn't understand half the things he was saying in the Batman voice. I just couldn't make it out for all this stuff.
It was like,
where's the trigger? Where's the trigger? Where is it?
It was that Nolan sound mix that's always deliberately muddy. And I mean, I saw them all in the theater with like the fancy sound, the IMAX sound, and I couldn't understand what dude was saying.
Let me get this super chat and then we'll wrap up. Robert, thank you so much. Notice no one here brought up race. Funny how that, huh?
I did a little, but
nobody really cared.
It was,
I could have, but no.
it was woke in the right way. And let's go like to the female black man. Like my example was where I talked about where she said she approached Bruce Wayne and said, "Listen, you can do more, and I need your help." She didn't go like say, "Well, you're a rich white man, all about your privilege." No, she realized that she can. Well, she's being a good politician, and she knows as a privileged man, she can use him to help her political career. But it wasn't a lot of too much rogue politics. It's about, and I liked her line to restore people's faith in our institutions, not about tearing them down or eat the rich or any of that crap. Is using it in the right way possible. So to Chris Cantwell, Tom Taylor, Tom King, politics in a superhero movie. Don't let it take it over, okay? People from the CW, this is how you write good storytelling.
CW will never learn. I don't see a reason to bring up race though. Like,
because I mean, who are the people that were going, "Oh, eat the rich," the angry white guys?
Well, Selena did say that someone needs to teach these privileged white men a lesson.
The irony of that was she was saying that to Bruce Wayne.
Yeah.
That's irony.
I thought she was digging at him.
Rich white guy.
Yeah. I didn't. I know I've seen people get upset about that line, and I'm like, but they are privileged white dudes. What's the problem?
Yeah, they were.
I didn't see that as a racialized comment. I saw that as a woman who gets sweat on by those dudes for money
day in and day out,
and they're claiming to be one thing and doing. I mean, okay, you're shutting down a drug thing and then you're doing the drugs. Like, I thought she had I mean, the shorthand of her mother being black and abused by Falcone, I thought was, to me, that's not woke. To me, that's just
writing,
filmmaking. It's filmmaking. It's drill the point home. You know, the same way, if you understand the importance of James Bond being a Scottish orphan, that hits a little harder, right? It's not anti SJW to shy away from the realities of who these things impact, right?
Yeah.
So I don't think that was woke. I agree with you. I think this is the right way to do it because it's there. It's just like the Equalizer TV show. It's there for people who know everybody else is Queen Latifah on a motorcycle beating the shit out of guys every week, right? You take it at the level you want to take it.
Right.
And I did see some people bringing up stuff about the race swapping and stuff, but I
race swapping?
I think Jim Gordon and Selena, but like they were phenomenal. They were amazing.
Eartha Kitt.
I know. We know
it's not a swap.
I know. We know that, but they don't.
Historically, in Batman movies, they're Billy D. Williams. That's a Billy D. Williams homage.
And that's the thing. We know these things, but they don't. And then they won't say anything about Ra's al Ghul being race swapped, or Bane, or Talia, or Jinx. Like, it's silly. I don't have any time for that.
Well,
Gary, thank you so much.
At some point, I think we just have to remove some of these people from the conversation. I think that Kenneth is right that the Tom Kings of the world don't get to own the dialogue, but neither do these people, right?
Yes, that's right. Gary, the rat thing confused me. First, he thought it was penguin, then he said it was a bat, and then it was right because they got the next clue, but then it was Falcone. So if Falcone was the rat, why go on about a bat? I think it was just because their Spanish was bad.
I thought that was a bad riddle. It was too.
Yeah, that one wasn't great.
Yeah,
I was like, bring the rat into the light, okay? But how would he know to bring him into that street light? He didn't even at that point know that you lived across from there. What are you talking about? It was bad.
I actually took that as the Riddler cheating a little bit, and I was sort of okay with that. It was a riddle designed to make them ask questions, and in getting it wrong, they actually revealed more of the plot than if they'd got it right the first time.
Yeah.
Right.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for coming on here. This was super fun. I love talking about it. I really, like I said, you guys check the movie if you haven't yet, and you've got all the spoilers here anyway. It's worth the watch at least. Even if you wait till I think it's 45 days on HBO Max. It's worth the watch.
Yeah,
It's
it
a
is.
good, solid film. If Liana's given it an 83 out of 100, we're in good shape here, guys.
Oh yeah. That's anything cracks 80 for me. It's a good movie.
Thank you guys so much. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, there's the post credit scene that leads you to a website. I don't know if anybody else caught
Oh yeah,
that.
alratadata.com.
A riddle that has still yet to be solved yet.
Oh,
I don't know if
really?
it involves pausing the movie to get the all the symbols and stuff and try to figure out that way or what. But yeah, apparently it hasn't been solved yet.
Now that's where I'll be going in 2 minutes from now. But yes, make sure you guys check out Drew. Make sure you guys check out Liana. Make sure you guys check out Shannon at Yo Truck and Nerd. The links are all in the description. And Kenneth, as always, it is wonderful to have you on here. You bring great conversation. So thank you guys so
Everybody,
much.
yay. This was fun.
Wonderful to meet you guys, Liana, Trucker. Love to see you guys again. And guys, in honor of Batman coming out, read this book, Batman Year 2 by Mike Barr. This is a wonderful story. A lot of people don't like it, but I think it's fun. And the villain here is good. I hope they adapt this movie for the sequel because this movie is awesome, dark, and fun. So,
all right. We will see you guys next time. Bye bye.